Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So, what is P0340? The official description is Camshaft position sensor, a circuit malfunction. In simple terms, your car's brain, the engine control module, or EC, is you aren't getting a clear signal from the camshaft position sensor for bank 1. Think of the camshaft sensor as the conductor of your engine's orchestra. It tells the ECM the exact position of the camshaft, which is crucial for timing your fuel injection and ignition spark perfectly. When that signal is lost or erratic, the ECM gets confused, throws the P0340 code, and turns on your check engine light. What will you notice when this happens? The symptoms can be pretty dramatic. You might have trouble starting your car, or it might crank for a long time before finally firing up. Once it's running, you could experience rough idling, stalling, a noticeable loss of power, and even poor fuel economy. In some cases, your car might go into limp mode to protect the engine, limiting your speed and RPMs. It's basically your car telling you, hey, something's not right, and I need you to check it out. Now for the big question. What causes this pesky code? Well, it's easy to assume the camshaft sensor itself has failed. That's not always the case. In fact, jumping to that conclusion can cost you time and money. The most common culprit is actually a wiring issue. The signal wire, power wire, or ground wire for the sensor could be damaged. We're talking about chafed insulation, a loose connection at the plug, corrosion inside the connector, or even a wire that's been stretched or broken somewhere along the harness. These wiring harnesses live in a harsh environment with lots of heat and vibration, so damage is pretty common over time. Another frequent cause is a weak or dying battery. The camshaft position sensor needs a stable voltage to work correctly during cranking. If your battery voltage drops too low, the sensor can't send a proper signal, which can trick the ECM into setting a P0340 code. So before you do anything else, make sure your battery is fully charged and your terminals are clean and tight. A simple voltage test can save you a huge headache. Of course, the sensor itself can fail. It's an electronic component, and like any part, it has a limited lifespan. Internal failure can cause it to stop sending a signal altogether, or send one that is intermittent and unreliable. Less common, but still possible, are issues with the timing system. If your timing belt or chain has jumped a tooth, the camshaft and crankshaft will no longer be in sync. The ECM sees this disagreement between the camshaft and crankshaft position sensors and can set this code. This is a more serious issue that needs immediate attention to prevent major engine damage. Finally, in very rare cases, the ECM itself could be at fault, but you should always rule out every other possibility before condemning the engine's computer. So, how do we diagnose it properly? Start with the basics. Do a visual inspection of the sensor and its wiring harness. Look for any obvious signs of damage, like frayed wires or oil contamination in the connector. Clean any dirt or corrosion you find. Next, test your battery and charging system. If those check out, you'll want to test the sensor circuit. Using a multimeter, you can check for proper voltage and ground at the sensor's connector. You can also test the signal wire for a consistent signal while the engine is cranking. For a more advanced diagnosis, an oscilloscope is the best tool, as it lets you see the actual waveform the sensor is producing. If the wiring is good and the sensor is getting power and ground but still not producing a signal, then it's likely the sensor itself has failed. When replacing it, always go for a high-quality OEM or reputable aftermarket brand. Cheaper sensors are notorious for failing quickly or being dead right out of the box. Once you've replaced the faulty component, clear the code with your scanner and take the car for a test drive to make sure the light stays off and the symptoms are gone. And that's a wrap on code P0340. Remember, proper diagnosis is key. Start with the simplest and most common causes like wiring and battery issues before moving on to replacing parts. I hope this guide helps you get your car back on the road smoothly. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more DIY repair guides. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.